Mishlava, Mesil Savri Tuva Nahira Ibn. Right? We said, what's a machlekes? What do you say, Mo'ore or Mo'or? So we said, okay, fine, we did that. We said, Ein Mevorcha. Bishla B'nir, Mishum, Delo Shavas Ela Bishum. You're not Mevorach on a Nir Shel Goy. Bishla B'nir, Mishum, Delo Shavas Ela B'samim. Why can't you use B'samim Shel Goy? Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Rav, Hachad B'sibas, Oivdei Chichon Maskinon. They're used in a celebration of Avodah Zarah. You should stop the Sibas Oivdei Chichon L'Avodah Zarah. Oh, in fact, the Gemara Avodah Zarah. So then afterwards we list the problem of Avodah Zarah, which implies that the Reish is La B'Avodah Zarah. Rabbi said on the bottom of the base on base. La B'Avodah Zarah Skinon. Omer Rab Chanina. Sorry, Matam Kamar. Let's explain. We have to learn this as one din. Matam Emivolchet Lo Yananir. For Lo Lab Sodom Shal Akum. Nay, that's the reason. Shestam Sibis. Okay, so pay attention. It's a little bit sticky. This rules here. These rules of what is considered shavas or sheshavas v'ochanov. So you can't. What do we make a bracha? Let me hang down here. We make a bracha about the Shabbos. You see in Chazal, on the fire which Hashem created on Motzei Shabbos is the discovery of fire of an Marishan, and therefore we make a bracha on that to give Hodah on the creation of the fire. So we say Or Shabbos before Chalav, Shalosh Shaveh before Chalav. But okay, now I'm sorry. There's another cleanup. Is that when Mevarech, we are there's a connection to Shabbos as well. You know that if it's something which is Shabbos on Shabbos, so Mevarech a lot. But if the fire was being used on Shabbos, so we can't make a bracha on that. Not to Shabbos Bavdallah was this or that was used on Shabbos. So therefore, if it's Lo Shabbos b'Shabbos, which is a goy had his light on, and he lit it on Shabbos, and this we don't. So that's the rule. We don't use the or shel akum on Shabbos. Shal Shabbos involved. My Lo Shabbos. So how do we define that? Lo Shabbos machmas melacha. So that means that it was not used at all. It had no use on Shabbos. Afil melacha de Torah. Does that mean? Well, let's say sometimes you're allowed to turn a light on Shabbos if it's a pikuach nefesh. You know, if a lady's having a baby, so you have to turn on the light. Gemara says. So even though we feel melacha de Torah, we'll tell you or shechayim, shechayim v'ochelov. So my Shabbos shows the malachas aveira enochanami. So if you used it on Shabbos, not for the purpose of Shabbos, that you cannot light on Shabbos. But so Tanya Amiyach, I should show you the legs of the legs called yoyim kuloi. Similarly, we say that if it was lit the whole time on Shabbos, you also make a bracha on it. It wasn't lit on Shabbos. So it's not a steam to Shabbos. It's when it's a contradiction to Shabbos. Is that you don't light on Shabbos. Turn out about in Nochri Shehilik Yisrael. Now here is a bit of a loophole. Okay, the Gimel Amud Aleph on the top. Turn out about Nochri Shehilik Yisrael. You have your goy, we got your goyish worker, and you tell him we need a light. So he goes across the street to our neighbors, and he comes back with a light for Avdallah. What about that? Is that called a goy? So we say, yeah, nor Shehidlik Yisrael. Or, for the same matter, Yisrael Shehidlik Minachri. I'm sorry, there we say, yes, Mevorchanolav. That's okay. Nachri minachri mevorchanolav. But if he went just took from a goy, not my shtab nachri minachri lo shavas. So okay, this wasn't the shavas. So 1 second, let's analyze everything we said here. Yachni somi nachri nami. So if I go next door to the goy and I take a light, why is that okay? So say very simple. It depends how we look at it. How do you look at a fire? How do you look at a light, a flame? You say, I lit it. I took fire from someone else's fire, so now it's a new fire. Ubidad Yisrael Kabis Yalda, and it was born by the Yisrael. So if that's true, Hadatanya, Moitzi Shehev Shusara. Okay, this is a little bit. We're going to know a little bit of a complex comparison. We're going to say as follows: the halacha in Hitzah, in Hilchos Shabbos, Hamoiti Shehev Shusara. I mean, the person who takes out, carries in Shabbos. Obviously, there's no eruv, but the person who carries someplace we're not allowed to carry in Shabbos. It's a malacha deraisa. And what he does is he takes a shalhevis. He takes a flame. Actually, it's only a flame. It's not if it was a whole candle on this. So anyways, you're carrying the candle, but he takes only a flame. How do you take a flame? You can take a flame. There's something that's some little tiny piece of clay that's not considered hitzah, and it has oil on it, and you take it out, and it's just you're not just carrying a flame. So chayiv, you're chayiv on the flame. So my chayiv mash okalani. If you say, now this is an interesting comparison. You say, if when you take a flame, you're creating something new. So when a flame is there and it's going up and down, it's kind of fluctuating the flame. So that also will define as a new flame. So the flame is constantly disappearing and recreating. So in order to be obligated, deraisa at least, on Hitzah, you shouldn't do this, but deraisa, you have to take something, be oiker something from Rishus HaYomi, be maniach it, Rishus HaRabbi. So you need a full transfer, and if the thing is recreated in the middle, so that's not considered Hitzah. Okay, it's a little bit of a complicated concept. We'll have to maybe wait till Shabbos to get this clear. But so, anyways, yet Yechayim, and there was a thing to prove from here that a flame is a flame, and we don't look at it as a new flame, an old flame. It's a continuation of the flame. The flame continuates wherever it is. Being the case, so why is a Yisrael allowed to take a flame from a goy? It's the same flame. If you come vorach to sefta to teira come vorach. So the answer is no. It's true, a flame stays, but there's still a new aspect of the flame. A new part of it is created, and therefore, when you take a flame and you relight it, you transfer it. There's a tesefta. There's an additional flame now inside the flame, and that's a tesefta teira. That's izmevorech. Okay, now let's go backwards and say, well, let's check that. Is that true? Is that true in all the halachos? So what about yachi nachri nachri? So if we send a goy to take from a goy, so why is that a problem? Nami, we'll mevorach on the new part of the flame, which you took right now after Shabbos. And Nami, you're right. Technically speaking, that would work. Again, we have a goy, and it's what's a Shabbos. We need a dollar. We send him across the street to get the light from the goy. Nachri mi nachri. We said it's not good. Why not? We'll make a bracha on the new flame that he made Motzei Shabbat. We know if you lit it Motzei Shabbat, that's okay. So this doesn't work. That's nachri mi nachri. Zera. The answer is you're right, but it's zera mishum nachri rishon v'amen rishon. You're right, but if we allow him to do that, it's going to come to a day we're going to kind of forget the whole procedure, and we're just going to say, well, you could use goyish flames also. And take from the goyish flame, and that Chazal are against. That's called using a fire shavas, and that is not appropriate to make a bracha after Shabbos. Okay, there's going to be more situations. When can you make these bracha ma'areish? It's again, you don't always have fire, so we have to look at all the different situations. So you have a situation where a person's on the road, outside the city, in a raw ore, and you see there's a fire. You see a big fire, a big bonfire somewhere on a hill. So im roiv nachrim and mevorach. But if roiv Yisrael, since most people that live in this city are Jewish people, mevorach. So you see a fire, make a bracha. You don't need more than that. So go for kasha. Amras im roiv nachrim and mevorach mechzam. The implication is, the problem is when there's roiv. If it's 50-50, it's okay. And then halatani im roiv Yisrael mevorach hamechzam mechzam and mevorach. 50-50 is not okay. No, the answer is You can. It's a din d'Rabbanan, and if it's 50-50, so for the Rabbanan Kula, you could mevorach. I did any ratio. You don't knock until they say for so once we said that we meant the guy, you need roy. So we just present it with roy, but really and chanami. 50-50 would be enough. Rabbanan, a malachutz krach. Walking down the outside, and you see a tinok, a child, and we'll see. We don't know who this child is exactly. Vuka b'yado, he's carrying a torch. Right, you have to understand it. In their world, people walked around with fires and torches. That was part of life. Right, that's all they saw. So boydek achrav in Yisrael, who in Yisrael, sorry, boydek achrav in Yisrael mevarach. So you have to see if he's Jewish. Take a look. Look at a Jewish boy. Fine. My retina, if you go to the army, what's the difference if he's a child or an adult? It's the same problem. You have to check. So now there's a problem here. What? It's right after Shabbos, he has a torch. It's a little bit weird. So Gadol, a goy, I have to assume, an adult, if immediately after Shabbos, I would assume he's a goy. Why is he walking around right after Shabbos with the torch? Shabbos just ended. Tinok Ema you saw who maybe whatever the Tinok was grabbed it right after Shabbos, or it wasn't was waiting to grab it, and so it's more likely that could happen. Torah barahem halachutz krach. V'ro or and you see a fire about you see a pillar of fire. Im ova k'pi akivshin v'varech. If it's a thick, like the size of an oven, like of chimney, v'varech. V'im lav ein v'varech olav. Now I'm trying to determine whether or not it's made to give light. If it's made to, we're going to see that's a requirement. It has to be there for the purpose of light. If that's what it's there for, I can mevorach. Tanichada or should kivshin mevorach alav. Tanich ein mevorach alav. What's the story? You have coming out of a furnace, fire coming out of a furnace. What's the din? Lakasha habit chiyah l'soif. If it's just for purpose of the kivshin, so maybe you're burning something in there. It's not for light, but afterwards. It remains, when you finish burning, normally it's used afterwards as a source of light, of heat and light, and therefore you can make a bracha. Same thing. Obviously it has a different function. In other words, again, the rule is, the rule is if it's used for something else, not to provide light, so then it's not something you can make a bracha on. But if it's so, the answer is that even though it was started off differently, but if it eventually it's left to function in that way, that's okay also. Tani chodo or shel beis haknesses beis medrash mevorach alav. Now in a shul, again remember these are their lights. They didn't have other lights, so why are there lights in the shul? So the two reasons. One reason could be to provide light. Reason, but alternatively, there also could be a need to provide in the shul. It's more of a what do you call it? Just a decoration, just an issue of honor. It should be nice lights, not necessarily to provide an or. So we have to see. So Yeshiva Beis Medrash. Sorry, where are we here? So we said, so it depends. If it's because of honoring somebody, then not. It's just regular light. Yeah. If there's someone living in the shul, there's a shamish in the shul that lives there, so obviously he needs the light to live. So, but if there isn't, then not. If there's outside light, there's moonlight, and he doesn't really need the light, it's only for beauty and honor to decorate, then you don't make a bracha. They're sitting in the Beis Medrash, and they bring a water. That's a different halacha. How do we deal with this? There's order in the Beis Medrash. So we say each person makes his own bracha. Cool, no. Really, you give a clap, and someone says, and everyone's yaitze. Bishlam is no false time. I understand. So explain that. My time. Because sovereign bittul Beis Medrash. He says, yeah, but you don't interrupt the Beis Medrash even to make a bracha. That's bittul Beis Medrash. We never do that. Tanya Yachi, basically Gamliel, Lo Yilem, Lo Yoimrim, Mirape Beis Medrash. They wouldn't say. You mean to say, what do you call it? Gesundheit. To say to give a bracha, give a person a bracha after sneezing. They wouldn't do that in the Beis Medrash. They wouldn't do anything which would interrupt the people in the Beis Medrash. Loudly. They put the Beis Medrash, same thing over here. So you don't make a bracha on the or when it's going to interrupt other people in the Beis Medrash. Each person makes it himself. That's something else. The Beis Medrash must continue learning. The individual could be interrupted. So they use candles or psalmim to help maintain the mace until you can get a kvura. So my time, near l'chov davida, psalmim lavuri recha udavida. So since it's not functioning as light, so therefore cannot be used for Maria Eish. Now, if they would use the same torches during the day, that's obviously not an issue, a light issue. It's rather an issue of covered, and Allah in covered is a mavorchalov. It's in the front of Ela, but if it's just used at night, obviously it's to provide light, and therefore it's which you light. Someone shall base a kisei. But what about samim, which is used as a fragrance, as a what do you call it? As a deodorant here or something to remove smell of the base of kisei, or for the hands to clean the hands. So you want to say, if it's not made exclusively for the purpose of smell, you don't make a bracha. Now here, it's not made for you to come smell. It's made to come purchase. You're just smelling it to check you're going to purchase it. Become a vorach in the reich nami davida. That is called the reich. That's called smelling it in order to purchase it. That is called smelling it. If you're walking outside the city and there's a smell, so again, we have to analyze. In Rov Yisrael, if this is a Jewish place, then you can be Mavarach. They should be nice Yisrael. Interesting thing, the Jewish girls sometimes are mekatos kshafim. They do witchcraft. Now, but again, if we're saying Roy, now you're saying all the girls. It's a little strange. Everyone in Beis Yaakov is doing witchcraft. That's a little bit strange, right? How are the muted kshafim? Muted now the Gemara is okay. Then people do it for. So now there are those also doing it just to provide fragrance for the clothing. That's also not recha. There's a lot. In other words, there's all different kinds of reasons why people are producing smells. Ovid we call ruba de lav the recha. Ovid lo mevarech. It's a Shabbos b'tzipayri. You're going in Jewish places. We assume it is Erev Shabbos and they're preparing the clothing for Shabbos. The Gamli was a kelim. Tanabara imahalik b'shuk sho'akum yishratze lariach hareza choyt. This is a different issue. That a goy who's creating a reach of avodah zara, it is also to benefit from the avodah zara, and therefore you cannot smell. If you're in the shuk, don't smell the avodah zara.